I'll start the music. Should be live on YouTube.
And if I don't ever poop again, well, that's just going to be who I am.
I just posted on Facebook. We might get some people now. Welcome to the first episode of Three Fat Dads, starring John Mueller, Rick Mueller, and Tyler Layton. A spin-off the Mueller's Day Off show. We had so much fun with that Tyler came up with the idea that we should start a show called Three Fat Dads. A little disclaimer here, I like to think that I'm the skinniest of the group. So when we were thinking about how we were going to name the show, we had to go Phat, P-H-A-T, instead of F-A-T. Now, I'm not going to vouch for Tyler or Rick in that category, but I'd like to think that I myself are nice and slim and trim. So, how you doing tonight, boys?
Good.
Doing well, John. I think you nailed it. I don't want to discourage or disparage Rick, but we probably are more along the line of the FAT dad. But we've got you. We've got you and your big, beautiful, shiny head here to carry us through.
Yeah, it's my COVID haircut. I'm going to keep it. So I really like it. It's very freeing. It was a freeing experience. I should share, I'll share this video with next time, because with the show, we'd like to talk a little politics, a little bit about what it is being a dad and family life, a little bit of local politics, but we're all in the stage of our lives right now. We have young children, and I have 2 girls. Rick has 3 girls, and Tyler has 3 boys. So it's a very different girl dad, boy dad experience that we'll hope to show on along the way. But no, when Brinley saw my haircut for the first time, she walked into the bathroom and asked her how she liked the haircut, and she goes, "Not good." So that's just a little story. I have that video. I actually got it on the phone. So just the first thing, the girl dad thing. You can never look right. You can never look good enough. Rick, I'm sure your COVID haircut is quite the topic with your girls.
Yeah, they love it.
They actually love it.
Well, yeah, they can do my hair now.
Oh, beauty salon style.
Yep.
How about your wife?
She's indifferent. Probably hates it.
If you have to say indifferent, that means that she hates it. No, so that's going to be their first topic. We're usually going to talk about how life is going, what's going on, just kind of shooting the crap for a little bit, and then we'll get into the more serious stuff. Hope to have guests come along the way. Our shows once a week, whenever we can, just to have fun and shine some light on some serious topics, and then joke along the way. Tyler, what's new at the Layton household?
Layton household, we just we've been dealing with a little bit of illness. So we kind of had one kid sick for a while. Now we've moved on to the next one. So all that fun stuff. A lot of sleepless nights, but it just comes with the territory.
Yeah,
we have 3 children under 5. It's kind of just the way it is.
Yeah, well, all that happens, right?
How you We're still trying to figure that out. We can't.
That's why you have 3 of them under. That's why you have 3 of them under 5. Oh, Rick, how are things at the Mueller household on Lake or Mitchell North? All three of us Mueller brothers from Crofton ended up in Mitchell. Not really planned, I don't think. Ryan actually moved in next door, so that's always good. So one of the brothers is about 5 miles away from the other two brothers. But how are things on the north side of Mitchell?
Well, things are going pretty well. Everybody's kind of enjoying the milder winter here. We've been staying healthy for the most part, knock on wood.
Yep.
But just, same old, school, work, school.
Yeah, it's kind of that winter rut that we all get into right now. Tyler and I talked about it a little bit, but that rut kind of happens right now where it's, especially COVID, I think it makes it a little more difficult. It seems like the same old thing you do, and trying to balance that and get out of that. Notice when you are in that rut to help yourself out of it and find ways to do that. But I think we all are in that January. No holidays till Memorial Day. Is that correct?
That's what it is for me.
Yeah, I heard company I was talking to, they actually make their employees, they give them a floater holiday. They make it take them between now and Memorial Day. And I thought that was kind of an interesting concept just to get, make sure they get a day out of the office in that long stretch. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, going back to kind of that winter rut or COVID rut is probably good work. I don't know about you guys. It's like, I miss being able to go to the movies, do that kind of stuff. That's really, what are we, like 11 months into this deal?
Yeah, and, 2 weeks. 2 weeks to slow the curve.
Yeah, 2 weeks to slow the curve. Yeah, you just start missing those little things. Yeah. We've been lucky enough, I would say, that there's still some restaurants we can go to and things like that, but definitely not of the same routine as pre-COVID. It does. It's starting to wear on you.
Yeah, and the summer was kind of nice because, we got together a few times. You can do some stuff. You can, we sat out restaurants, you have the outdoor patios and you felt more comfortable. Now, Katie and I actually had COVID back in September. So we're kind of on the boat of, we'll take a little bit more risk, but, still not doing anything stupid with big crowds and all that stuff. But man, I forgot how much I just like going to a Wesleyan basketball game and just sitting in the Corn Palace, eating crappy popcorn balls and watching NAI basketball.
How dare you disparage the popcorn balls?
Well, I don't know if you've had the Kimball popcorn balls. Have you ever had the Kimball popcorn balls?
Can't say that I have.
No, I think they're actually better than the Corn Palace popcorn balls. So maybe we'll have to take a poll on that. But no, it's the rut, and I can't even go ice fishing right now because the ice all over the place is too weak. But we've been working on our basement, so trying to get that done while we can, and through the winter, so when stuff actually goes again, we can do that. But our basement got a little flood damage before, so we had to redo the drain tile and now re-sheet rocking and all that fun stuff. But wife and I are still married through it all, working on that basement for a month and a half. So that's a good thing. Hey, we actually got 5 people on YouTube watching. We'll have to start sending out Zoom links and stuff. This is our inauguration. What?
On purpose?
I
5 people on purpose?
I didn't actually hold anybody hostage. I don't have anybody at gun. I didn't send the National Guard in. I didn't send 25,000 National Guard members in. So they're on their own accord.
I think that's what you call a segue.
That is a segue. It probably is. We'll try to keep it light, but I think, with the inauguration tomorrow, the Mueller's Day Off is primarily started as a election coverage show. So we'll jump right into the inauguration tomorrow. I'll leave it up to Tyler to pick the first topic for tonight. So Tyler, go ahead. What do you want to dive into first?
I think you teed it up well. I mean, we look at current events right now. Inauguration's coming up. Obviously, Washington, D.C. looks a little different this week than it did 2 weeks ago. Maybe we should start there.
Yep. So you want to start with the Capitol? You want to start with the inauguration? You want to start with how do you want to do it?
Well, I'm dying to hear your thoughts on the Capitol, John. Why don't you kick us off there?
Well, since I've talked to both of you individually about the Capitol, I know I'm more in the middle ground with both of you. So we're going to have some differing opinions there. My big thing with the Capitol is let's treat it like everything else. It is on sacred ground, but if you were very opposed to the riots and the burning down of Minneapolis and what they call that in Seattle, what was their autonomous free zone?
Chaz.
They renamed it a few times, but that's the general idea, I think.
So my thing is, if you were up in arms about that, you should be up in arms about the Capitol. And if you were up in arms about the Capitol, you should have been up in arms about the events of this last summer. So as long as you stay consistent with where you're at, I think we can have a conversation of right, wrong, all of that. So that's where I'm at on it. I thought the Capitol was bad. I thought the riots this summer were bad. I thought both sides fueled them to make them possible and happen. And I also get where people are coming from on both sides of it and how they feel. So, I mean, I am complete middle ground with that. Rick, how are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think obviously denounce any sort of violence and destruction of property on a large scale, obviously. But, I'm kind of more on the opinion that sometimes to make an omelet, you got to crack some eggs. And that was my opinion this summer with the Black Lives Matter protests. And that's my opinion with the Capitol thing. I think, sometimes drastic actions are needed. And, I go back to the quote from Thomas Jefferson all the time that, the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants from time to time. And, unfortunately, nobody likes to see that violence and that kind of thing, but sometimes it's what's needed. So,
yeah, no, that's a good point. Last summer, you were completely kind of different, opposite than I was, saying that, those people, I don't know if you really believed in the movement and the racial injustices and the cop brutality stuff that was happening. So that's kind of, I think, always been your kind of stance on it, is that they're doing things for a reason. They're taking to that level for a reason. So
yeah.
And
I
mean, you've been consistent on that.
You always get, and I can't speak to the motivation of the entire crowd and the entire group, but I think there's lots of people in this country with grievances, lots of people who perceive they've been treated unfairly. And you can argue by both sides that some people have been and some people haven't been. But at some point when things don't change and people aren't heard, tempers rise and things happen. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of where things go.
Yeah. Tyler, what's your take on the Capitol riots?
I'm just not a big, storm the storefront or storm the Capitol type guy. No matter what side you fall on or what side of the aisle you fall on there. For me, I was really taken aback. Seeing it come across my phone at first, getting a news alert, and then I was working from home that day, so I kind of stepped out in the living room, turned on the news, and you have also this live footage of these people kind of in the Capitol or storming through, and then you see them kind of in Pelosi's office or carrying around different items and chairs and things and lamps coming outside of the Capitol. I was just appalled by the whole thing. I mean, for me, I just that's not my style. So, and then to see that from a conservative group, where again we spent all summer hearing that side sort of call out against protests, or especially the protests that took place after the kind of the sun went down. We did see more acts of violence and things. It just seemed like we had switched spots, that the right had become the left, and I thought it was a sad day for America. That's where I was at.
And not to say one side's right or wrong. The problem is that one side sees that the other side's getting away with stuff. They feel that they have to do the same thing sometimes to compete or keep up. And that's my, not to segue of this, but that's my fear with this election stuff too, and the cheating and whether it's alleged, whether it's true, false, whatever, nothing was ever done by either party to make people feel that if there was cheating or something, or there was funny business going on, that's not okay, and we're not going to do that. So now I hope Republicans, accept the election facts and don't think they have to stoop to those levels. And that's kind of the same thing, you're talking about. They saw all that stuff. Not that makes up for it in my book, where I come from on shouldn't probably be doing any of that stuff. But, when the media says it's okay to do all that stuff in Minneapolis and Seattle, and then it's not okay to do it in Washington, D.C., that's where I start having a problem, I guess.
I would say Rick's spot on. There are, and I think that it's not cool for us not to talk about it as Americans. There's a lot of people who feel unheard and feel like the system's not. There's not opportunities for them on both sides, no matter where I think that crosses all political spectrums and even some cases some social economic spectrums. It's a sad time. It's a sad time, especially as a dad with 3 little kids. I don't want to turn on the news and see a city burning down or or see a bunch of people prancing through our Capitol building.
Right.
It's not a good look. That's not a fun thing to try to have to explain to your children.
No, and we have to remember too, when we talk about either side, left or right, it's the far extremes that are doing this stuff. It's the far extremes that were doing this stuff in the summer. It's the far extremes that were storming the Capitol. 99.9% of the people in this country that believe the way they do wouldn't take actions like that. And that's what makes it so sick that the media focuses on that 0.001% that would do something like that and makes it a big deal. That's what I don't like to see. If we could just come together and talk about our differences, but I don't think people think they can talk anymore that are on that extreme side. And I saw a quote from Abraham Lincoln. I wish I would have wrote this down, but basically it's if people don't feel their voices are being heard in their government, that they basically turn into radicals. And I think that's what we're seeing on both sides. It's this fringe group that don't think their voices are heard by their representative and don't think their vote matters. And that turns them radical. I mean, we don't do radical things because we felt like we're getting lied to once or getting cheated once. It has to be a series of things that lead to that, where finally we feel like we're at our breaking point. And I think that's where a lot of people were at on those fringe sides.
And I agree with that point, but I think you have to be careful when we categorize it as the fringe, because the fringe starts to get larger if you don't understand where that fringe is coming from. That spreads and then more and more people. And if you keep, saying it's a small percentage, it can get to be a large percentage if you ignore the problems.
Okay, so let's go with that. So that small fringe right now, who are the people not listening to? Who are the people helping to keep fuel that? You can say Trump for sure had a part of that Capitol storming, and whether you want to say he's 99% to blame, 50% to blame, 1% to blame, there is some blame there. But who's storming those sides and making people feel like they don't have a voice? Who's fueling the fringe right now, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know if it's one person or one group. The way I look at it is, let's take the Capitol, for instance, right? The things you heard on the media during that happening is just like, I can't believe people are doing it. And they're not listening to the truth. There's facts, there was a fraud for the election, which I'm not going to even talk about that. That's not important to me at this point. As far as this topic is concerned, I guess, but it's the problem is that how many decades have the media and politicians spun every story, cherry picked statistics, made the truth whatever they wanted it to be, whether it's a big lie or just a slight bending of the lie. And now you have this whole group of people who they're shocked that they don't believe those institutions anymore, right? Like,
sure. In
my mind, that's what's fueling a lot of this, is that there's a major lack of trust for these institutions. And I can't say that I blame a lot of these people for having that lack of trust.
Right.
I think you're right, Rick. Like, 74 million people voted for Donald Trump. In those 74 million people that, you could make a strong case that those are right-leaning or conservative-leaning individuals. And I think they spent the last 4 to 8 to maybe even 16 years harboring some perceived media bias, and have probably started to tune out the media. So where do you go? People are getting more of their news from online sources, social media, whether you're left or right, and that's very dangerous. I mean, 74 million, 80 million people voted for Joe Biden. We're basically 50-50, right? As we're a 50-50 nation. And it's pretty scary that no one really trusts those institutions anymore on either side.
Yeah, and you used to have local papers, the newspapers. People, were kind of the last thing that people could trust. Well, those are basically dead, or owned by the same people that are running MSNBC, CNBC, and Fox News. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know about this from the industries that we work in, is largely those media conglomerates are just that. They're conglomerates. They're huge. They own the channels. They own the distribution of the channels. They own networks and newspapers, and whether you can say that it doesn't affect what they're putting out, I find that hard to believe that it doesn't. Yeah, on multiple levels.
It's less voices and less agendas that are being heard. So you have more agenda or less agendas being heard in more places. And that's a topic that, so the MSNBCs of the world own, not only MSNBC, but they might own that. They own other programming. They own all of that. They own their own, Comcast. They own the actual cable companies. And now how that's not a monopoly. I could spend a whole show talking about that in our industry, and we know with that stuff, man, if the FCC wanted to do some things, there's a lot they could start doing with that kind of stuff. But the government likes to control fewer entities, fewer bigger companies. They like those big corporations. Now 3 out of the 4 stations in Sioux Falls are owned by the same company. I can't remember what it is now. It's going to escape me. But KTTW went bankrupt, and KDLT, the one that owns KSFY and KDLT, bought Fox. So 3 out of the 4 stations in Sioux Falls are the same thing. So that's one agenda you're going to hear now on 3 stations. And, we're seeing examples of that all over the country. Yeah, so welcome to 3 Fat Dads, the pilot show. John Mueller, Rick Mueller, Tyler Layton. 3 people watching now, so we must have bored some people, but we'll get better. No, I think this is good. I think this is a good topic. We kind of want a place for a sounding board for people, not what you normally hear. We're going to have differing opinions. We're not going to be, always lockstep and what we say and what we think. So, Rick, I'm going to throw the floor to you. I think we've talked about that one, kind of get off the subject. What's next on the list for you to talk about?
Well, I guess we can just chat a little bit about the inauguration tomorrow, and how the Capitol riots kind of play into what's happening there tomorrow. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, and Tyler, I'll let you go first. I've been kind of talking a lot, so we'll kick it to you and with the inauguration tomorrow and everything that's happening in DC right now.
Yeah, well, I think obviously you guys already heard from me, and probably had the strongest voice, calling out what we saw at the Capitol. But I'm going to probably take a little bit of a turn here and say that what's happened since that Wednesday, I think is just as scary. You're seeing voices shut down, where you're seeing an alignment of big tech companies, targeting conservative voices and so it's basically colluding to shut down, Parler, competition to Twitter. I think that's all scary. I think as Americans, we should be scared of totalitarianism. Now we've got 10-foot high fences throughout DC and military on every corner. We were calling it an insurrection at the Capitol. It almost looked like it worked. It looks like now we have a police, a police state. It's just, for some reason, we've become, it looks like we've become a third world country. It's obviously a slow decline. Or if you're a student of history, you look at the history of Rome. It's just like we're getting one bad emperor after another. And here we are. I mean, for me, I'm hopeful that Joe Biden can come in here and maybe we can return to some sort of normalcy. I don't know. That's my hope. As an American, I'm a little bit afraid based off kind of what we've already seen from the agenda. We're even though that we're going to have control of, the Democrats are going to have control of the House and the Senate. They're talking about flooding the court. We got like 20 to 60 executive orders we're going to sign on day one. That just doesn't really sound like how the system's supposed to work. It doesn't sound like the Schoolhouse Rock. How
I agree with you with the backlash and shutting down and deleting people's accounts and the ganging up on Parler and all those things. It's I guess the question that comes to my mind is, how sure are all these people that they're on the right side? You know what I mean? Like, shutting down voices, in my opinion, on either side is never good. You have to have that dissent. And if everybody's in lockstep and there's no dissenting voices, you're only hearing one voice. How sure are we that that's the right voice to hear? I agree. It's very scary to me as well.
Yeah, just because you're on the right side right now, on the winning side, does that mean if you institute these things that the next time around you're still going to be on the winning side? And how are you going to like it if you're on the losing side? I know there was a lot of calls for Republicans, and even some people like on I would say like Glenn Beck's of the world, and the right wing kind of conservative talk show host. They were calling out for people on the other side to say, hey, come stand with us. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but let's not try to censor stuff and shut people down. There's kind of almost a cry for help right now with some of those folks, because I think they think that the worst could happen and we're going to see more stuff shut down. And I just keep thinking that just because you're right now, does that mean you're right next year? You're right 2 years from now? And, Rick, I think you said this to me on the phone one time, when the Revolutionary War or the Revolutionary War was going on. You talk about tyrants and patriots. It depended what side you were on which way you thought, if you were a tyrant or you were a patriot.
And that's
England. The Redcoats in England, they were the patriots. And, it just mattered what side you were on how you're classified.
Yeah. And, a couple points there, it's the victors write the histories, right? So
right.
they get to spin it the way they want. But then your comment, I don't remember the quote exactly, but there's a quote about Nazi Germany about how, they came for this group and I said nothing. And they came for this group and I said nothing. Then they came for me and there was no one left to say anything. And I think we need to, think about that as we're, as people are getting deplatformed and shut off, is, maybe you don't agree with them today, like you said, but what happens when you believe in something tomorrow that is deemed, not how did Orton, in 1984, right? The right speak or whatever.
Right speak. Yep.
No, that's it's scary. It's really scary. In the big tech companies, we think they're kind of all lined up the same way, and that's scary. It'd be great. No, Americans in general don't like all three of the political, the Senate, the House, and the presidency being controlled by the same party. And, you can kind of say that for the big media. It's never good when all of them are aligned together. My view of the inauguration stuff is I really just hate to see the National Guard there in such numbers. I mean, 25,000 National Guard members. If that's just not trying to make a statement, I don't know what is, and that bugs me. I mean, you couldn't bring in 5,000 troops. That's still a huge number. 25,000 from all 50 states. There's a reason they're coming from all the states, and they don't. I saw the picture of the soldiers sleeping on the marble floor of the Capitol building, and I saw a joke that marble sleeps really well, actually. So very, very forgiving that marble floor is. It's really good for your back and neck.
Who needs a sleep number bed?
Yeah. When somebody said the My Pillow guy, if you wanted to do some good, where the heck was he at the Capitol? He's been to DC enough during President Trump's run there. What the hell's My Pillow guy now sending a bunch of pillows down for the troops? But no, I don't like seeing it. I just don't like seeing that. Like, I think, like Tyler said, a third world country, you become we have to have a reason that we have to protect our emperors, in Rome and all this stuff. And that, it's just a bad look.
The one phrase that keeps popping into my head when I think about it or look at the news stories about how many people is I keep thinking shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if we go back, I think somewhere between 80 and 90% of the country was in lockstep on a Thursday morning, 2 weeks ago. I think all thinking the same way. Like, if we're looking for an event or something to unify us, I think it was there. But now we fast forward to today. I think we're back looking at these 74 million people are going, this is what we're talking about. This is why, and I think all of a sudden now, not to pick on you guys or say that your opinion was wrong because it's just different than mine, but right, you guys look right. You look correct. Like, these people were fed up. They feel like the government was out to get them, and now it sort of looks like they were correct. They're right.
Yeah, and we don't see anything that's going to stop that from going further down that line. One thing about Biden,
we've created a bigger divide.
They've created a bigger monster, and I don't know if they realize that at the time or realize what they're doing. I lost my train of thought where I was going to go, but oh boy, it was a good point too, and I wish I could think of what I was. With Biden, all these executive orders, Trump did some good things, some absolutely good things for the country, and he did some crap things for the country. But the fact that the Biden administration has to come in and erase any part of history of what he did good for the country really upsets me. We can't even say that he did, one good thing. They're going to try with executive orders to take down everything that he did. And do I agree with him? No. Do I think he's a good dude? No. But do I think he had some good policies and put some good things in place for the country? Yes. So if we could just acknowledge some of that stuff that he did and leave that in place, that would go a long way to uniting the country. If Biden really wants to be a uniter like he says, and I hope he tries, then leave some of that stuff that was good. Leave it in place. You can get rid of some of it, but the rhetoric that's coming out now is that he's going to do everything he can because Trump did everything exactly wrong, and that bugs me.
It's sort of a tit for tat, right? Because in some ways, this is Trump's fault because he went very hard after Obama's legacy as well.
Sure.
So now we've got Biden, President Obama's vice president. He's going to come in there, and now they're going to go hard after Trump's legacy. But at the end of the day, it's just like, if I punch you, John, and then you punch me, I don't think we feel good about it. Like, I think we're looking to who can get the next shot in next, and it's just a road to the bottom, and we're on a fast track for it. Eventually, someone's going to have to stand up and be a good person and do just what you said. Acknowledge, hey, well, these things actually worked. These policies work. We're going to keep those. We think we can do more here, so we're going to try this. But just painting everything as good versus evil, I don't know that it's doing us any favors.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's kind of Rick and I were talking too. That AOC, she's crazy, but she gets what's wrong with the country in a lot of aspects. Now, does she go about it the right way, or but she gets what's wrong. She gets the wage inequality. She gets all of that. but does she go about it the right way? No, but at least she's consistent. At least I know what AOC stands for. I have no idea what Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. Hell, 3 months ago, I thought Lindsey Graham was actually a decent senator. Well, that ain't true. He's a piece of crap. But, they're not consistent. They just want to stay in power and they want to see their legacy, and it's right versus wrong. And it's not where we come from. Bernie Sanders is crazy, but I think I know where he comes from, and I think he takes a stand on stuff. But that's my opinion on that. Rick, I'll give you the last word on that before we move to the next thing.
Yeah, I guess I agree with what you say there about the different political, entities. As long as they're consistent, they know where they come from, and people who are looking to actually move us forward in some direction. You have to appreciate that compared to, like we just talked about, just undoing what the previous person had done and just spinning, right? It's not moving in a direction, just staying where we're at and fighting about it and who got us here.
Well, that sound means it's time for our first game. I'm gonna play some different games there. I'm trying to come up with cool ideas, so if they suck, you just gotta let me know and we'll wax them right away. But the first game I'd like to play, our first ever show, is called Phat Dads Know Best. And it's gonna be a lightning round type of a game. I'm gonna ask a question. We'll take alternate turns between Rick and Tyler, our in-house Phat Dads. Who gets to answer it? We'd like to keep the answers to 10 or 15 seconds, somewhere in there on each question. And we'll go back and forth. And I got about 8 questions that we're going to do on this lightning round.
I'm going to talk very fast.
What? So you
I'm
can
going to
get more
talk very
words in?
fast.
All right, first question to Tyler. It'll go to Rick after Tyler. No talking over each other.
Oh, I can't interrupt.
We want a clean debate. If you're not, I will
What kind
mute
of
you
cable
at the
show
host.
is this?
I will mute you at the host. I'm not even like that first presidential debate. I got the mute ready. I don't have to wait till the second debate to get things figured out. So, all right, Tyler, to you. Will President Joe Biden last all 4 years of his presidency?
I would. Boy, no.
No.
It's an old man. It is an old man. It doesn't look that healthy.
Okay, Rick. Will Biden last all 4 years?
I was actually going to look up the actuary tables to see those kind of numbers, but I guess I'll go with yes. I don't really know. It's a stressful job. Anything can happen. He is old.
Okay. Question number 2 to Rick first. Will the Keystone Pipeline make it, or will it be shut down? And am I right on the Keystone? Is it the Keystone one that goes from Canada right now?
I think that's the one we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Rick, will that make it? Will Justin Trudeau get his way and keep it going, or will Biden and his administration shut it down?
As much as I have love for our neighbors to the north, America's cap, I don't think there's any way it's going to keep going. Political winds are not in his favor. Nope, not happening.
Tyler, to you, will the Keystone Pipeline make it?
That thing is dead. If I'm playing in the stock market, I am buying solar.
Solar. All right.
That's how Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, right?
That's exactly right.
Batteries.
Number 3 to Tyler. Will Trump start his own news network?
No. Trump's done.
Trump's done. No news network, no nothing. He's just going to go live in Palm Springs if his neighbors will let him. Did you hear that? They don't even want to let him
I don't know.
petition the Palm Springs mayor to not even let him live there. Yep. All right, Rick, will Trump start his own news network?
No, I'm with Tyler on this. I think he may try. I don't think he's got any supporters of any significance left. I mean, you saw them all jumping ship 2 weeks ago or last week or whatever, and he's done.
Yeah, they loved him while he was flying high, but now that he's on his way out, you're right. Everybody jumped ship, and even his own cabinet took the took I don't want to say the wussy way out, the coward way, and hey, I want a job with something else, so I'm gonna before the ship is totally sink, I'm off of it. All right, I think or go ahead, Tyler.
Love or hate him, right? At the end of the day, that guy's about making money and be seen as successful.
Yep.
I think he's going to take some time off and then come back and try to rebuild his legacy as a business person. That's how I see it. And the legacy of his children.
Yeah, that's probably, in their financial well-being. Number 4, I think we're to Rick first. Border wall. We know it's not going to get built anymore. Are they going to tear down Trump's border wall?
Symbolically, because they can't help themselves, they will tear it down.
They will tear it down. All right.
Waste of money to tear it down.
Sure.
But they will do it because it's a symbol.
All right, Tyler, to you. Border wall, will it get torn down?
I'll take the opposite approach here. I would not be surprised if they spend a bunch of money adding on a smart wall. And all of a sudden, it'll be just like 1984, and Rick will be required to not remember that the left was against the wall when they were building, and we will be for the wall because it'll be a good thing. It'll be keeping out COVID from the United States of America.
And it will be run on batteries and solar power.
I think the theme of the show is our listeners' homework assignment for next week is to read 1984. I think that's what we're really saying.
Never even heard of it. All right, question number 5. I think we're to Tyler first. Will the Republicans take back either the House or the Senate in 2 years from now, in the midterms?
Yeah. I think the Republicans will take the House.
The House for sure.
Yeah, for sure. History's proven that to be true. More times than not, when one party controls everything, that usually lasts 2 years.
All right, Rick, will the Republicans take back the House or Senate?
They'll take back the House. Senate's always hard just because it's the number of seats up and places that they're up is always hard. The House, though, I think the backlash will be pretty swift and pretty decisive.
All right. Question number 6, thought of this one today as I was watching Joe Biden get off the airplane. Guess who's back? Hunter Biden is back. They actually are taking him along. He actually was seen. So will the investigation with Hunter Biden's laptop go anywhere now, or is it dead? I think we're to Rick first.
No, it will not go anywhere.
It's dead.
It's dead.
All right, Tyler?
Dead. You're not going to ever hear about that laptop or Burisma, for that matter, outside of probably a couple of pundits on Fox News.
And I think the real story, not to break the lightning round, but I think the real story with that is that you notice how nobody ever said when they were talking about Hunter Biden that he didn't do anything illegal, but they never talked about whether he was doing something ethical. And I think that's the real problem, is that our laws are letting people do very unethical things to enrich themselves at that level. Yeah,
and we get caught up in always criminal versus ethical, and everybody always spins it the criminal way. All right, 2 questions left. Number 7, will Trump get investigated any further on Russia, and will they actually find something this time if they do? I think we're to Tyler first.
I don't think you can find something that doesn't exist. So I don't, they'll probably continue to try to investigate, but I don't think there's anything there. To paint Trump as some sort of Russian puppet, I think is as crazy as thinking that, Trump's going to arrest Joe Biden tomorrow. And that some massive conspiracy is going to be laid out. And I think we have 2 groups of radicals in the country that both think that, and I think both have just sort of lost themselves in the internet conspiracy.
Rick, to you.
No, Russia's they won't investigate on Russia. They could very well bring up other issues, and I think they'll dog him for a while as he's heading out the door, but not on Russia. Like Tyler said, there's nothing there. In fact, I think Russia won by casting doubt on the administration into our processes. They didn't care who won. They made a mess of it. and that's
Yeah.
what they wanted.
And now, I don't want to break the lightning round either, but to that point, I think we're a pretty safe country as far as a terrorist attack right now on U.S. soil. They see us falling apart. They're not going to do anything to stop it. They know that if they did something to it right now, that would unite us, and they're happy to see us fall apart while we're doing it the way we are ourselves.
I'm gonna bust this lightning round.
Bust
I'm
it
gonna
up.
again. I'm gonna keep with our 1984 theme that we've got going on here. Sorry, tripping over my own words. And I'm going to predict that over the next 4 years, all of a sudden, Russia will be our friend, and we will no longer be talking about Russia being our enemy. Much like we did with, much like famous debate between President Obama and Mitt Romney. Russia. Those are 1980 problems. We don't need to worry about them. But I believe that will be right where we go back to, and we'll have this recorded for prosperity. We'll see who's right and who's crazy.
Well, it is Fat Dads Know Best, so we can come back to this in 4 years and see if the fat guys are right. All right, last question. I think we already hit on this, but we will let Rick answer it first, and I think I know where you guys are both coming, but I'll ask it anyway. Trump runs again in 2024.
No.
That's what I figured you were going to say.
I don't think so either. I just don't. Right now, today, I just don't see it. I don't see how he would gather any support where he could do. I don't think it would make financial sense for him to do it.
All right, that concludes the first ever Fat Guys Know Best lightning round of questions. Now, to go on that even further, I listened to a little bit of his farewell speech, and if it didn't sound like a guy that was ready to just F it all and right out in the sunset and not give a shit anymore, I think it was that speech. I think he's had a little come to Jesus moment the last 2 weeks, and I think his pride was hurt pretty bad by that Capitol Hill stuff and how he got played. And I think he realized. I think he's got a little remorse on how he maybe not what the events that happened, but how he got played, manipulated. So, all right. Well, we got about 8 minutes left in the hour show. Anything you guys want to talk about? I did finish all my Templeton whiskey. I don't know if the folks out there have heard of Templeton rye whiskey. So Tyler, he told me about it, and so then my wife went and got me a bottle, and I was all excited, and I took a Snapchat and sent it to Tyler. Hey, look what I got! I got the same stuff you got. Well, Tyler got the 6-year stuff, age 6 years, and I only got the 4-year stuff. So I guess that shows, little higher class than me by 2 years. But
that's what happens when you send a non-whiskey drinker to buy you whiskey, though, John.
She'll get the 4. She'll get the 4 instead of the 6.
That's your own fault. But good call out. I mean, and I think it's fair to say we can let the folks in Templeton know that we are looking for sponsors for the show.
Yeah, it is great whiskey. Carroll, Iowa, I believe. Is that right?
Iowa?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Carroll, Iowa, huh?
Carroll, Iowa. It is some of the smoothest whiskey I've ever drank in my life.
I think I may have connections in Carroll, Iowa.
What?
Yeah, I think I may.
Yeah, no,
I'll have to shake that tree.
Yeah, so maybe somebody works there. Maybe somebody knows somebody who they know that works.
Well, I'm sure if I know anybody in Carroll, Iowa, they know somebody that works there.
Yeah, so it's good
John,
stuff.
Is this our first ever 3 Fat Dads approved product?
Yes, approved product. Yes. We should probably do that. We should probably have an approved product every show, shouldn't we? Something that it's safe, family, fun. Right here.
I want to know why you didn't send me a bottle so I could enjoy it at the same time.
Well,
that was lack of foresight.
We'll tell you about it. We ain't gonna buy it for you, but no. Tyler got cued off by our favorite beer liquor man over at Coburn's, Mark. Very knowledgeable. Told him it was. What do you say? You got to get it. It's the best stuff.
He gave me a top 5. He said that this is in the top 5. It's good stuff. You try it. He told me if you do the 6-year, you'll never go back to the 4.
No, it's good. It's smooth. Like you most of that whiskey, you're waiting for the whiskey burn. This stuff doesn't even have the whiskey burn. I mean, you can drink it just on the rocks straight. It doesn't. You don't even. You're waiting for the burn and it doesn't happen. So, rumored to be Al Capone's favorite drink during Prohibition.
Yep.
and they said that a few bottles got snuck into Alcatraz for what prisoner number was he? 85?
I don't know.
I don't know that either.
It said that on the bottle. So no, good stuff. I think we're gonna have to take a trip as soon as COVID's over to Carroll, Iowa, and check out that distillery. But I don't know. I shouldn't say I hate Iowa people. There could be some listeners, but now we'll
alienate the whole state, John.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could alienate a whole state.
Yeah. How many people live in Iowa? That takes out how many people that might listen to our podcast, just like that.
We have several relatives that live there that probably could have been listening until now.
Well, and Tyler, you got some friends over in Iowa.
Sponsor.
You got some friends over in Iowa, don't you?
Yeah, several friends over in Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iowa's a great state.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's jealousy. It's like Wisconsin, it's jealousy. That's all it is. That's all it really is. So,
I think one closing though, John, I think you would at the very least need to familiarize yourself with 1984 and Animal Farm. If you don't read it, do the Cliff Notes. I can't believe that we're letting you on this podcast without that knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to back Rick up on this. And for all three people that watch, I don't want to turn this into, nerd out too much, but you can get Animal Farm as a free book on tape, an audio book. It's not a long book, but it should almost be required reading right now.
Animal Farm is not a movie. You
could watch the movie. There is a movie.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought
you probably watched in junior high, but I'd read the book. Very, very enlightening for the times we're living in. Can you guys give us 1984 also? Is it about Reagan and Gorbachev? Is it, what's it? Nothing.
It's a fictional time frame that you're kind of living in this dystopian, media controlled, political controlled world where they control your thoughts and your speech. Your TVs have microphones.
1984. And Animal Farm is the same type of thing?
Animal Farm is about, well, I don't want to spoiler. It's a take on communism where animals take over the farm, starting out with the fact that they're all equal, and ends up being that some animals are more equal than others.
Gotcha. I think I've heard of that. Yep. 1984. I've never heard of, but I think I have heard of the Animal Farm. So, required reading. We'll have a book report due next episode. Maybe we'll give you 2 weeks to work on it. But no, I always think of the Hunger Games when I think about what's going on now, and maybe that's wrong of me. Maybe that's too mainstream. Maybe I need to think more of Animal Farm 1984. But I always think of Hunger Games. I think of where are they? The districts. They're more of the rural versus the city, and that's kind of what I think now when you look at the vote totals and all that. I think of the urban-rural divide. So that's why I always think of Hunger Games every time I watch an election.
I think the theme is the same. I think it's a little different from, I don't know, the level maybe a little different to what you may be more Saturday morning cartoons with the Hunger Games.
Well, that fits. I mean, that fits. And sure as hell, I didn't read the book Hunger Games novels. It was definitely just all three movies. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, come on.
The books, I read the first book. I didn't think it was written very well, but it's not for my demographic.
Sure.
That wasn't written for you, Rick, huh?
No.
All
sure
right.
It's not.
Leave it to John. Well, I guess he said he didn't read the book, but I was going to say, leave it to John to be, perusing the young adult section in the bookstore to pick up those books.
Well, I'd have to make my way to a bookstore first, and then but then I'd be there. You guys read those Star Wars novels. I read the junior Star Wars novels. No, honestly though, I cannot remember the last time I read a book. Is that bad? I mean, I
Yes.
honestly can't think of the last book that I sat down. Now, podcast, history podcasts and all that stuff, I'm all about that. But actually reading a book, nah.
You need to take some cues from your niece She told me today that she saw a T-shirt that she wanted, and it was bookmarks. They're for quitters.
That is awesome. That's a proud dad moment right there.
Yep,
That's a proud
yep.
fat dad moment.
Yeah, well, Reagan is a huge reader too. I mean, all she wants to do is read. So I mean, that's good. That'll get her somewhere in life for sure. Knowledge is power. Reading is knowledge.
So what's your excuse?
I'm not
Not
smart.
reading.
I'm not smart. I'm not smart. I faked my way up the corporate ladder to where I am now, and I don't need to read books. Unless I get fired, don't fire me. We should say this is a great time to say that our opinions are our own and not anything to do with any of our employers. All of our own personal thoughts.
Not does not reflect on our employers, our friends, or our families.
And especially our wives. Yeah, no, so this has been a fun hour. Time flies. We'll definitely try to get more of a schedule with this and see if we can get a guest knocked down. I got a few people. I'm taking a leadership class right now at Mitchell Technical Institute, and there's a couple of some cool dudes in there that I'd like to have on the show. I'm not gonna say if they're fat or not, but they are dads, so I think they'd be good for the theme. And I'm sure Rick and Tyler have some people too that they can think of that we'll try to get on just to break up that hour show, get some different viewpoints, and like to keep it, politics in the future down to a minimum, maybe 15, 20 minutes of the hour show to talk about politics just because we all follow it and it's all we do. But so, yeah, that'll wrap it up. A little disclaimer. The world's not going to end tomorrow. If you're a Biden person or not a Biden person, it's not going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. If you are a Biden person, a lot of that stuff happens in DC, and you always got to remember that you can control more of your destiny than the government or anything that happens in DC ever will. So never get depressed about what's happening. Family, if you're a man of faith, that's what's number one. That's what you can control, and all that other stuff. We need to follow it, but don't dwell on it.
I wish I had a glass of Pendleton. I'd toast you.
All right, Tyler, last word to you tonight.
This was enjoyable as always, fellas. Glad to see you again. Glad to see everybody's doing well. Fun conversation, fun debate. I think it's really cool that we had three different opinions, and no one's leaving here angry. So I think that's really cool, and I think that's a good sign for our republic.
Yep. Let's be down the middle. Let's see it both ways, and let's get along with everybody. It's a different opinion, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we live in the greatest country on earth. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
And if I don't ever poop again, well, that's just going to be who I am. Chinese or Japanese? You understand what I'm saying? Are you still talking? What in the hell is going on here? I apologize for yelling at you.